What's up, everybody, and welcome to Wildcard Sports. In today's video, we're going to go over the NFC North best and worst case scenarios for their records. We're going to look at their schedule for each team, and I'm going to give you my best case scenario and worst case scenario for each of these teams. So don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new. We're doing this for all the divisions. So here we go. Let's start with the Minnesota Vikings, and we're going to look at their schedule right here. And the Vikings, have J.J. McCarthy as their QB. They're going to be a pretty average team, I believe. They do have a top 5 defense. So the defense is what's going to keep them in the games. Obviously, they finished 14-3, as you can see, last year. I mean, Sam Darnold played huge for the Vikings. If McCarthy can do anything like what Sam Darnold did last year, then the Vikings have a solid shot of either, winning the division or getting second place again and, making the playoffs. So let's look at their schedule. Let's see if they can do it again this year. This is best case scenario for the Minnesota Vikings. All right. First game of the season at the Bears. Going to be tough. Division game on the road. But let's just say best case scenario, they win it. So that's 1-0. Beat the Falcons. I still think they lose to the Bengals. So that's 2-1. So that's one loss so far. At the Steelers, they should win. At the Browns, they should win. Let's lose to the Eagles. They could beat the Chargers. Probably don't think so, but best case scenario. Lose to the Lions, that's 3 losses. Lose to the Ravens, that's 4. Beat the Bears. I think they split with the Packers, even best case. So that's 5 losses. Let's say they beat the Seahawks. It's going to be tough, though. Let's see. Possibly beat the Commanders, but I think they're a better team, so let's say they beat them in this case. I think they lose to the Cowboys or the Commanders, so that's 6 losses so far. And then, they're going to split with the Lions and Packers, best case scenario. So let's just say they have 6 losses, best case scenario. They're not going to do as good as they did last year, so I'm going to go 11-6 on the Vikings, best case scenario. I just don't see them doing. Definitely not better than last year. I don't even see them being the same as last year. Slightly worse. 11-6 best case scenario. All right, let's look at worst case scenario here for the Vikings. Lose week 1 against the Bears. Beat the Falcons. Lose against the Bengals. Let's say they beat the Steelers. So that's 2 wins. Let's say they beat the Browns. Lose to the Eagles. So we have 3 wins. Lose to the Chargers and the Lions and the Ravens. Beat the Bears, 4 wins. Lose to the Packers. Lose to the Seahawks. Lose to the Commanders. Lose to the Cowboys. Beat the Giants, 5 wins. And then lose one of those games, Lions or Packers. So that's 7 wins we'll give them. Worst case scenario, 7 wins for 7 and 10 for the Vikings. So yeah, best case scenario 11-6, worst case 7-10. I feel like it's going to be in that range. Let's go see what Vegas has them at really quick. Minnesota at the bottom here. So Vegas has them at 8.5. We go back to my best and worst case. It's pretty much in that range. I would probably lean towards the over. I could see the Vikings getting 9 wins, so I would bet the over on the Vikings if I had to choose. So, I definitely feel like the Vikings can get 9 wins, especially if J.J. McCarthy just plays average. He doesn't have to play great, but just don't play bad. He has to play average. I think the Vikings can still get 9 wins because, like I said before, the Vikings have a top 5 defense, so it's very possible. So let me know what you guys think on the Vikings. All right, moving on to the Packers. Here we go. Best case scenario for the Packers. Jordan Love in there again. He kind of disappointed last year. They were 11-6. Packers were definitely projected to be a lot better than they were last year. A lot of people didn't expect the Vikings to be as good. So the Vikings could definitely take that second place. I don't know if they're going to win the division because they got the Lions in there. But I think the Packers can get second place and do better than last year. But let's look at best case scenario. I'm doing this in real time, so I haven't even looked at the schedule. So this is my first instinct reaction on the schedule. So here we go. Best case scenario: beat the Lions, beat the Commanders, both at home, but this is best case. Beat the Browns. They could definitely beat the Cowboys. They could start 4-0, but in all reality, I think there's going to be one loss in there. So we got one loss so far going into the Bengals. They could definitely beat the Bengals at home, beat the Cardinals, beat the Steelers, beat the Panthers. Wow. So lose to the Eagles, I say. Lose at the Lions, so that's 3 losses. Broncos, very tough defense. Could be a very low-scoring game. I think they split with the Bears, though. So that's 4 losses. Yeah, and by the way, they beat the Broncos, let's say that. And then lose to the Ravens. So that's 5 losses. So it's slightly better than last year because this was me trying to give them more wins than possible. I'm trying to be nice to them here. 5 losses, so what is that? 12-5. Could win the division. Possibly could win the division, but slightly doing better if they hit best case scenario. Of course, people are going to say, oh, they could go 13-4, 14-3, but I truly don't see that happening with the Green Bay Packers here this year. Worst case scenario for the Packers. Let's look at it. All right, Blues against, I say they could go 0-2. And I know it's a home game, it's a division game, but Lions can definitely win that first game. So 0-2, beat the Browns. They could lose to the Cowboys, so that's 3 losses right there. They could lose to the Bengals, that's 4 losses. Beat the Cardinals, beat the Steelers, beat the Panthers. Lose to the Eagles, 5. Lose to the Lions again, 6 losses. Lose to the Broncos, 7. Lose to the Bears, 8. And the Ravens, 9. Let's just say they beat the Vikings because I don't see them doing worse than that. So worst case scenario, 8-9. Don't think that's going to happen for the Packers. I think they should be better than that. Let's look at what Vegas has to say, though, for the Green Bay Packers. So Vegas has them pretty high, 9.5 wins. If you look at my best and worst case, I would lean towards the over for sure because I think they could get 11 wins for us here. So I would lean on the over. They have it at 9.5. I definitely think the Packers can get at least 10 wins there. Let me know what you guys think on the Packers. All right, moving on to the Detroit Lions. They had a great season, of course. Some injuries there in their the running backs, but they made it to the playoffs and got upset by the Commanders. And a lot of people had the Lions going to the Super Bowl last year. So can they do it again this year? Let's look at the schedule in real time. Best case scenario here for the Detroit Lions. All right. So at the Packers week 1, best case they beat them. Beat the Bears. At the Ravens, don't think that's going to happen. So that's 1 loss there. Browns. At the Bengals, going to be tough. 2 losses. At the Chiefs, tough. Let's just say 3 losses. Even best case scenario. Beat the Bucks, Vikings. At the Commanders. Could be very tough, but it's a revenge game for the Lions against the Commanders, so that's going to be tough. Let's just say they beat them best case scenario. Lose to the Eagles, that's 4 losses. Beat the Giants, Packers, Cowboys. If the Rams are healthy, that could be 5 losses there, but yeah, let's just say 5 losses. Beat the Steelers. I think they could beat the Vikings, take care of the Bears, sweep them best case. So 5 losses. Best case scenario. So 12-5 best case scenario for the Lions there. And that would win them the division or at least tie them for the meantime with the Packers if everything goes right with the Packers and the Lions. Yeah, what were the Lions last year? Lions. Oh, well, they have their preseason thing right there, so that doesn't matter. So, yeah, still think the Lions will win the division. Not surprised there. But Packers will be close second. All right. Let's look at worst case scenario for the Lions here. And it could be bad because I do have kind of a tough schedule here. Lose against the Packers first week. Lose against the Ravens. Lose against the Bengals, Chiefs, Commanders, Eagles. So that's 6. Lose against the Rams, 7. And then lose one of those at the last week. So 8 losses. Worst case scenario. So 9-8. But don't see that happening for the Lions. They should be above 10 wins easily. I'm sure Vegas has them pretty high. Let's look. Detroit, yeah, 10.5. So, I think they could definitely get 11 wins. But I don't know if I would probably stay away from that bet because, I have them right at, between 12 and 9 wins. So I wouldn't bet on that one, but definitely see the Lions getting for sure over 10 wins this season. Let me know what you guys think on the Lions. All right, moving on to the last team here, the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, man, second year. He had a terrible first year, but hey, he's a rookie at the end of the day. So give him a chance. See if he could bounce back. I think he will. Don't think he's going to be amazing. I always thought he was a little overrated coming out of college, and he proved it year one, but we'll see what he does year two. And he has a new head coach to help him. So let's see what Caleb Williams and the Bears can do here. And they're supposed to have a pretty good defense going into this season. So let's look at best case scenario for the Chicago Bears. All right, beat the Vikings. At the Lions, still think it's a loss because division game on the road. So one loss there. Beat the Cowboys, beat the Raiders, lose to the Commanders, 2 losses, lose to the Ravens, 3, lose to the Bengals, 4, lose to the Eagles, 5, lose to the Packers, 6, lose to the Niners, 7. So this is best case scenario, 10-7 for the Bears. I don't know if I see that truly happening, but 10-7 wouldn't shock me, and people would have a little bit more respect for Caleb Williams and the Bears if he got a 10-7 record in this division, because it is a tough division and it is a tough schedule. Let's look at worst case scenario. This could be bad here. Let's go back up here. So lose to the Lions again. They're going to lose probably to... They could lose to the Cowboys, worst case scenario. Beat the Raiders, lose to the Commanders, 3, lose to the Ravens, 4, Bengals, 5. At the Vikings, they could lose 6. At the Eagles, 7, 8. Against the Packers, Niners, 9 losses. And they could have one more loss in there somewhere, so 10 losses. So the inverse, worst case scenario, I see the Bears going 7-10, which is not terrible, but it's not going to make the playoffs, of course, and definitely won't win the division, that's for sure. But yeah, I think that's definitely doable for the Bears. Bears were 5-12 last year, so if they go 7-10, it's an improvement on the season. Definitely not what Bears fans want to see, but I do think the Bears will be better this season for sure. Let me know what you guys think on the Bears. Let's look at what Vegas says really quick on the Chicago Bears. Right here, 8.5. So they have them kind of high, 8.5. Yeah, like I said, best case scenario for the Bears though, 10-7, and that's best case. So maybe they could get 9 wins. I would probably lean the under for the Bears, but that's another bet I would stay away from, me personally. But let me know what you guys think on the Bears. Maybe you agree, disagree with me. So I appreciate you guys watching the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.